Morning, everybody. I'm going to seeing you guys today, but I did want to leave you a video to review the homework from last night. So if you struggled with it, fast forward through the video to the ones you missed and have a look. So we're given two sides in number one, and we want a side. So we are going to use Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where 10 and 7 are our legs and x is our hypotenuse. So when we substitute in 10 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. 10 squared plus 7 squared is going to be 100 plus 49 equals c squared, or 149 equals c squared. You got to make sure you take that square root at the end. And I'm just pulling out my calculator because I have a handheld one. If you have Desmos, then that's what you want to be doing, or your phone. So 12.2 rounded to the nearest tenth. For question number 2, we're given some slightly different information. Question number 2, we're given an angle and a side, and we want a side. So this is going to be trig. So CAH and TOA. We got to figure out which trig function we need to use. So we're going to label. If I go opposite and hypotenuse, I want sine. So sine of 46 equals O over H, so 24 over X. Remember, when the X is on the denominator, well, really anytime, you can make it over 1 and then do your multiplication. So X times the sine of 46 equals 24. I'm going to split my screen a little bit here and get the Desmos calculator. Bear with me. So you can always do this. Bring up the Desmos calculator. Desmos calculator. Well, that's not really the one I want, but it'll probably work. I think I'm going to change that to the Virginia Desmos graphing calculator. Desmos calculator. Make sure you're in degree mode. So always, always, always check that. Depending on how you access the calculator, it'll already be there for you. Remember that if I do sine 46, that's just a decimal, right? So if this was just x times 46 equals 24, we would divide by the 46, right? Divide by 46. So all we're going to do is divide by sine of 46. We're just dividing by that fraction. So it cancels out on the left side, and we get x equals 24 divided by sine 46. So 24 divided by sine 46, and then I can take out all of this stuff, and I get 33.36. So round to the nearest tenth is going to be 33.4. 33.4. The 6 makes the 3 round up degrees. So all we did was put this in our calculator because we just solved the equation. So for number 3, we're given a side. We want a side, and we have an angle. So again, this is going to be SOH CAH TOA. And we need to figure out what we have and what we want. So we've got the opposite. We've got the hypotenuse, and we've got the adjacent. There's no information over here on the opposite side, so we can't use it. So we have the hypotenuse. I'm not going to use TOA. And we want the adjacent. So we're going to use cosine. So cosine of your angle, 35, equals a over h. Remember, that just is made into a fraction. So x over 21. If we make that a proportion again, all we're going to do is cross multiply. This time we get x equals 21 times cosine of 35. Because the x is in the numerator, we just cross multiply and go about our day, right? So over here, we're going to put in 21. You can also go down here to your functions. It's a few more clicks, and then 35. So 17.2. 17.2. Just double check that I read that right. Yep. So if your x is in the denominator, you're going to end up dividing. If your x is in the numerator, you're going to end up just multiplying. You got to pay attention to where that x is when you set up your trig function. Don't shortcut yourself there. So again, we're going to label opposite, hypotenuse. That leaves us with adjacent. I don't have any information on the hypotenuse, so I'm not going to use it. This is going to be tangent. Hopefully you've already figured that out. Tangent of 27. Remember, it's never, ever, ever the 90-degree angle. It's always the reference angle that you start from. So tangent of 27, that's TOA. So I'm going to make it O over A, so 13 over X, 13 over X. Remember, your X is in the denominator, so when you make your proportion and you solve it, you're going to have X times that decimal that's tangent 27 equals 13, because that's the other part of that cross multiplication. Just like if this was 27, we divide by 27, but because we have the tangent in front of it, we've got to divide by tangent 27. The tangent 27 and the tangent 27 cross out, and we are left with 13 divided by, I'm just going to type it in, tangent of 27. So 25.5 is going to be our answer here, 25.5 degrees. Okay, super important that you're not just copying down the answers, but you're making sure you know how to do this, right? Number 5 changes back a little bit because we don't have an angle anymore. So if we don't have an angle, we've got two sides. We've got a leg, and we've got a hypotenuse, and we're looking for the other leg. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A and B are our legs, so 16 squared plus x squared equals the hypotenuse, 27 squared. Some of you are getting really good at realizing that if you're looking for a leg, you're going to end up subtracting. So some of you are using this formula, which is perfectly fantastic. All you've done is solved for B. So the C would be 27 squared minus 16 squared equals x squared. All that does is take that 16 squared to the other side, which is our very first step. So if we pick up our calculator again, or actually since Desmos is right here, I guess I can do it here. 27 squared minus 16 squared is 473. Make sure you take that square root. Square root of 473 is 21.7. 21.7. This is a side length. So this is going to be our side over here, which makes sense because our hypotenuse has to be the longest side. Then if that is a leg, that x is a leg, it has to be shorter. Question number 6. If the given side lengths form a triangle, then determine whether they form a right triangle. So remember, is it a triangle? Small plus medium is bigger than large, right? Is it a right triangle? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. You've got to do both here. So my large side is the 14. 8 plus 12 is greater than 14. That is a true statement because 20 is greater than 14. So the side lengths do not form a triangle. That's not correct. The side lengths form a triangle. They form a triangle. They form a triangle. So now I'm off to this other part, this Pythagorean theorem part. 8 squared plus 12 squared equals 14 squared. So this one is an equals, and this one is a greater than. That's super important. So if I come back over here and I do 8 squared plus 12 squared, I get 208. I don't think that's going to work out because 14 squared is 196. They are not equal. So the side lengths form a triangle, but do not form a right triangle. Side lengths form a triangle and a right triangle. The side lengths form a right triangle, but not a triangle. That's not even possible. I didn't even read that well. Okay, so your answer is right there. Now we're up to the review part for like big test review. We've seen these a million times. Read the directions up at the top. Which diagram shows a pair of angle measures that prove lines A and B are parallel? So automatically, I'm going to highlight A and B. And I'm going to make sure there's some kind of transversal that connects two angles. So those two angles are not connected by a transversal. It can't be A. Those two angles are not connected by a transversal. It can't be B. Here, I've got 120 and 60. Those are same side supplementary. They should equal 180, and they do. That one looks good. Here, I don't have any angles over on B, so that can't be my right answer. So C is my right answer. Eliminate all your bad choices. So eliminate anything that's not connected on a transversal that has like some kind of weird diagonal you would need. And eliminate anything that doesn't have an angle on both of those lines. So if you highlight A and B, highlight whatever lines you're trying to prove, you should have angles. You should have some kind of angle relationship on that. Use the graph below to answer the following equations. What is the slope of the line? So if I go and make my slope triangle, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. That's a -3 because I went down. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a +5 because I went right. -3 over 5. We very easily could have gone the other direction. If we started at the bottom and went up 3, left 5, that would be up 3 and left 5, which would be 3 over -5. That negative sign can kind of float around, so it doesn't matter how you write this. The negative can go with the 3, the negative can go with the 5, or the negative can go with the fraction. What is the slope of the line parallel? There's a little equal sign in the word parallel. So the parallel slope is going to be exactly the same. What is the perpendicular slope? Remember, perpendicular symbol, we've got to negate and flip. It's kind of like the contrapositive. So we need 5 over 3, and we need that to be a positive. Don't write the positive in your answer. That's not necessary. I was just trying to make a point. Match the letter with the type of symmetry. So the A, we can split down the middle. That's got line symmetry. The R has nothing. There's no way to slice that, rotate that, anything. The Z, if I put a dot right here in the middle of the Z, I can rotate it 180 degrees and it's going to land on itself. If you don't believe me, draw a Z and literally rotate your paper. Or pick up your Chromebook and rotate your Chromebook. You can rotate it another 180 degrees and it'll be back on top of itself. That means it has point symmetry. Okay, point symmetry, line symmetry, no symmetry. Determine how these triangles are similar. As soon as you see similar, you should think about that squiggly negate sign in logic. That's a similar sign here, and you should make a proportion. Okay, got to have a proportion if you're going to have similar triangles. So I also am missing some angle measures. So if I do in the RLG triangle sum, so I'm in my calculator, I'm doing 180 minus 79 minus 67. And I did not do that right because I did plus 67. So 180 minus 79 minus 67 is going to give me 34. So angle R is 34. That's nice because angle N is 34. And angle P and angle G are both 67. So that means C must be 79. That means opposite the 67 and opposite the 67, they go together, right? And then opposite the 34, well, actually, that's all we need to do. We've got an angle, and we've got an angle, and we've got a side. We have information there, and we have a side, and then we've got another angle down here. and another angle down here. So we've got angle, side, angle. When you're looking for those letters, we need all those in a row. Oh, but that's not a choice. You know why? Because that's for congruent. Congruent can be side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, or hypotenuse, leg. And then these guys are the only ones for similar. You need a better math teacher. It's all right. We are willing to make some mistakes. Let's try that again. So what am I given here? I'm given a side, and I'm given a side. I'm given a side. So I've got a pair of sides. Oh, you know what I have? I did it at the very beginning. We did all those angles. We don't even need that proportion because we've got angle, an angle, and an angle, and an angle. We've got angle, angle here, ladies and gentlemen. All those sides and the proportions are just a distractor. Hopefully you did well, and just continue on through the folder, and I will see you not until Friday, unfortunately, unless you want to come to office hours on Thursday. I will be there in office hours on Thursday.